is up, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Panda Punk, and I'm here to update you on the latest on the Gernon case. Let's get to it. So yesterday, this came out that Darren Brown's charges are upgraded to capital murder. So forensics came back. Authorities were able to pin him with capital murder. If forensics was able to determine this is it. I've been saying it for a while on my TikTok that it was going to come down to this. Despite, the other variables that we have here, right? With Monica, Trevor, which I will go into Trevor here in just a bit, Cameron. And then as the story keeps going, right, from the day we hear about Cash, more reports come in slowly, but they're coming in, especially when it came down to the grandfather. But I think what was the most crucial one was the town hall meeting that they had with that community. I don't think it was called a town hall, but the community meeting that they had. And that right there showed how many times they have reported Darian to authorities. And as I believe that this meeting was not executed very well. I think by the officer saying called 20 times. I think an individual saying, I have to call you 20 times to eventually get this guy somehow. I don't think it was the best approach, but I will say the community did seem as if they banded together and were concerned. They were frustrated that the amount of reports they sent out, especially that man that was in the video really saying, hey, I've given you footage. I've told you who this person is, and he is still out there. And you can hear it in his voice, the frustration that it ended up going the way it did. And it turns out that a 4-year-old, his life was taken. You can hear it in that man's voice that he is frustrated, aggravated, saddened, and just wanting to work with authorities, but also saying it's almost too late now. A child's life has been lost because nothing was done. And I'm with him. That's kind of the reading I got from that. It sounds like a lot of this could have been prevented if Darren Brown was handled correctly. If he was taken into custody for, the breaking and entering, the grandfather story. That one's a big one for me. I'm still kind of in this why wouldn't you press charges? And then knowing that Monica Sherrod went to the grandfather and was convincing him not to. There's some speculations out there that may be thinking that they were threatening the grandfather. Speculations. Don't take what I said here 100%. I'm just saying that's what. It was a good comment. It was a good comment on TikTok. And I was like, I didn't think about that, because we can only go from what that grandfather said. Maybe he is fearing for his life. Who knows? Take it with a grain of salt. But still, pressing charges in that moment would have changed the outcome. But here we are. Darren Brown has now been charged with capital murder. I don't see this going his way at all, despite the fact that his attorney thinks that he is going to fight this case with Darren being schizophrenic. like I said, I was curious about Darian's diagnosis. With what did they find when he was getting mental health treatment? What was it that they found? I mean, he was discharged. So was he, did he recover? Did they say, well, he's functioning. He seems to be stable, but sometimes discharge doesn't mean that. Sometimes it can be like, well, we're just gonna discharge him because we can't work with them, or we're gonna discharge him because his sessions are done. There's other things that can happen when an individual is being discharged. But in this case, I am curious as to see what the reports say about his mental health, especially since his attorney is going to fight this with believing that Darian is schizophrenic. So I am relieved in a way that if this is what forensics found, I was truly in a point where I could have made plenty of videos, but I'm like, you know what? It comes down to forensics at this point. And here we are. Capital murder. Now, for the next one, we have Trevor. Today was arrested. Yeah. During a traffic stop. And for me, it was bound to happen. I think we were all waiting for this to happen because he did abandon his boys. He has warrants out for his arrest. I think with what has happened to Cash and his negligence of his two boys, I wouldn't be surprised if we see child neglect, maybe child abuse. Somebody on TikTok said, there could, why isn't he charged with kidnapping? I mean, maybe he could be charged with kidnapping because he took the boys without letting the bio mom know, because bio mom didn't know where they were. From the GoFundMe article that she had, or that I believe it stated that they've been looking for them for a while. Since March, since Trevor ran. But they didn't know that they were with Monica. So, potential kidnapping, possibly. I think his situation has now gotten worse. And I don't have any empathy towards him. He lost that when he left his boys there, and the result of Cash losing his life because of a father who neglected them, and we're supposed to feel bad for him. No, I know there are some people that probably feel bad. I don't whatsoever. He could have prevented this. Poor choice. I mean, you look at his warrants and then you realize, man, this guy's got issues. He wanted to take care of himself first before he took care of his kids. He didn't care about his kids' safety. You look at the environment that these kids were in. And then knowing that Darian Brown was, I would say, friends with Monica and Cameron. In the beginning, it was like, oh, I knew him from school. And then people were like, oh, they didn't really know Darian. But then it turns out that Monica vouched for Darian during the whole grandfather incident. So they knew Darian very well. I would say they knew him. Will we see charges towards Monica? I don't know. Like I said, I would like to see charges across the board, but what can you really pin her with? I mean, those kids weren't hers, so there was no obligation for her to take care of those kids, but that's where that gets sticky. I don't know what would happen in this case for someone who is taking care of kids that are not hers and was just kind of left with these kids. I mean, maybe failed to report that father abandoned 2 children with her that aren't hers. Who knows? This case has been a wild case. It's been a very sad one. I know there's been TikTokers that have been saying, you should cover more. And you know what? When I look at the cases that are out there currently, when I look at cases especially that deal with kids, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking how many kids lose their lives. So you have the Samuel Olsen case, the 6-year-old that was similar to this. It comes down to the girlfriend tampering with evidence, and clear indicator that she was the one. I mean, why would you do that to a 6-year-old? I don't get it. You're scum. You're scum if you can do that to children. And then you have the Amari, the 2-year-old. And I saw the boyfriend's interview. I saw that interview. And right when I saw him talk, and he was like, his mannerisms and just turning side to side, it was a clear indicator that he too had something to do with Amari's death. And it turns out he did. Blunt force trauma to the head because a 2-year-old urinated his pants. Wow, people. So, to bring it back, when it comes down to children, it's heartbreaking. It really can lay you out. It can just, it's like an uppercut. You just don't. It's almost hard to recover. The Cash Gernon case, that the surveillance was so traumatizing, was so haunting. It was a nightmare. It was like, it's like something that comes out of a movie, The fact that we saw Cash being snatched from his crib, that right there that's something that's going to be engraved in our minds, I'm sure. I mean, I've heard it on the comments, TikToks. People are still like, I can't get that image of Darren taking that boy. Neither can I, folks. I can't take it out. I can't get it out. But it's made me so on high alert when I go to bed. I don't think I get a full sleep. I wake up, and sometimes in the middle of the night I'll just go check on my kids. Just like, that's how bad this image, this footage scared the bejeebies out of me. There's a reason why we have things to protect us, right? I mean, I can go on and on with this, but it is good to hear that justice is being served. This case has been wild, sad, and the most heartbreaking thing is that the casket. I'm sure you guys have seen the casket. And that casket just kind of solidifies that, yes, it happened, We saw the footage of Cash being taken. We heard what happened. And then when you see that casket, then it hits. It hits you, I don't know why I got so invested into this case. I don't know why I got so invested into this particular child, because like I said, there are so many cases with children, and I'll do my best to cover those when when I create those videos. But this one, seeing a young boy being taken as he sleeps, because children see the world differently than adults, I believe. And his life was taken like that. And the most heartbreaking thing is that it sounded like this entire thing could have been prevented. But the situation that these boys were in, the environment they were in, it was just not good. But I do believe it could have been prevented. I think that situation could have been prevented. But that casket, I think when I saw that casket, it was more of a farewell. I hope you rest well, and I hope that justice fully gets served. Now with Darian with capital murder, now it goes into the courts. We see what happens there. But until then, that boy can rest now. And I really, really hope that Carter gets the support he needs. 4 years of having your other half with you. Man. Kids that age know. They know something's wrong. But until then, guys, that's all I got for you guys. Rest well. Hold your dear ones, hold your loved ones so tight. Hug them, shower them with love. Enjoy every moment with your kids, with your nieces and nephews, with your grandchildren, or kids that you work with. Enjoy them. Look at the positive that they bring. Most importantly, take care of yourself. And I leave you with that. Panda Punk out.